up late doing some law research, learning about consumer protection rights, guys. That's something we're going to delve into when I have time the next few days. I'm actually applying some of the stuff. But just a little tidbit, apparently we are consumers, not citizens, because the United States is none other than a federal corporation, not a country. So we are consumers. We back up the money, guys. It is so deep. You have more worth than you can imagine. It seems that everybody else knows but us, right? That's how they get over in the system. And this is what happens when we've become so lawless, so lost in the sauce, so far removed from the Most High's law, that we can't even tell when there's violations against us each and every day. People think that they're following the law, they think that people are following the law with them, and most of the time, people are pillaging each other, really. Even people that you think are your friends who have a lot of these financial jobs, you would be shocked to know what's going on. And we'll delve into some consumer protection issues and how to clean up our credit reports, guys. Because apparently they lie so much and sell our information without our consent, right? That it holds people back. And if you didn't know, consumer reporting agencies are not affiliated with the government. They're private and they're a paid service. So that means there's somebody out there paying to make you look bad on paper. So that needs to stop right now. And again, I'm hoping to encourage people to go back to the Most High's law. We've been so compromised in these modern day New Age churches who just want to preach faith, faith, faith. And yet they forget the verse that says, faith without works is dead. Right? You heard that before. Faith without works is dead. So we need to show a little bit of follow through with the Most High and the Constitution. A lot of the laws that we need to stand by so we don't get tossed around and pillaged. We need to have a healthy respect for the Creator's law first and foremost, because once you get into reading His laws, going into other laws like in the law dictionary, looking up different consumer codes, statutes at large, it becomes second nature. It becomes so easy, right? Because you're disciplined and you have a healthy respect for the law. So that's why a lot of people in these organizations never really get help, you know? The Most High is a God of follow through. He will give you steps that you will actually follow through. He don't expect you just to, you know, live on a prayer and do nothing, you know, to show your faith. You know, He wants to see you meet Him halfway. And the Torah is holy. It's upright. It's righteous. It's good for you. It's like your vegetables. You need it. You need it. And even in Romans chapter 7 verse 12, I have it open real quick. Just for any of the people in these churches, it's like you gotta pull the layers back really, really slowly for them, because they don't realize what a cult it is. And somebody who was raised in it as a child, I know more than anyone, guys. I mean, my family put me through all of that stuff. They went through so many denominations. They went through that phase where you couldn't even wear pants at home for a minute. Girls weren't allowed to wear pants, like at all. So it got really, really stringent. But yeah, I was seeing a lot of Bacchus activity with my relatives, right? So you see this dichotomy going on. So even in the New Testament, it tells you, so then the law is holy and the commandment is holy, righteous, and good. Even the character you guys ascribe to Jesus, which I think is this character right here, said, I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill, right? And how do we not know they didn't just use the name Jesus? Because when you read a little bit of this person and how he's called the preacher and the king of Jerusalem and another, you know, like you got this verse here, that's Ecclesiasticus, because you go to Ecclesiastes, and again, if you're not dealing with the Apocrypha, you're not going to get a lot of this stuff, and you're not going to put the pieces together. That all they did was probably take a little bit of this, because this was part of the original Old Testament canon. So who's to say they didn't just, that's why we want to stick with the Old Testament and the law of Moses, and just keep it simple, right? Because when you think about it, the character Jesus said, I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill. So why are you trying to do away with the law? And that's why you'll never get remedy in this life or the next, you know? Because we delegate that to the professionals, right? Even hiring lawyers and all these agents. What is that doing? Lining the pockets of crooks. I was into, I got this source, United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, which had a great rendition. I'm trying to go where I had my music so I can shut it off for you guys. That way we can, I know I have a couple of things open. I hope your morning is going good. Let's see, where you at? Thank you, music. We'll let you go. Sorry if my voice is a little groggy. I've literally been up since like around 2 something. I got up. I was so hyper. Maybe I had too much coffee. And I was like, I'm done sleeping. I'm ready to get my day going. I have like way too many things I gotta get some stuff done, you know? Especially today is the last day you can get any business stuff done. So the prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, right? The son of Sirach. So, hey, I pretty much think this is the character, but, you know, just reading the prologue was so inspiring too. The prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. Whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. My grandfather, Jesus, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things. See, you got to be addicted to these things. See, me and my husband were clashing this week, man, because we were just on different wavelengths completely, because you'll get one person pulling in one direction and one in the other, and it's just up to the Most High at this point, you know, because I'm gonna go you know, full steam ahead, regardless if at the end of the day I walk alone or I don't, right? Because you need to be addicted to this type of stuff in a healthy way. You know, that's the Most High don't want anything less. And when you are, He will inspire you, have you find out laws, all this stuff that will free you, because your intention was pure and you came to Him first seeking to be obedient, right, to His will. And then all else will be added to you, basically, right? So I thought that was wild. Might profit much more in living according to the law. Wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words, which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them, and not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books, have no small difference, when they are spoken in their own language. For in the 8th and 30th year, so the 38th year, coming into Egypt, when Euergetes was king, and continuing there some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore I thought it most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it, using great watchfulness and skill in that space, to bring the book to an end, and set it forth for them also, which in a strange country are willing to learn, being prepared before in manners to live after the law. All wisdom comes from the Lord, and is with him forever. That's right. King James Version. So right there already tells us a lot of clues, because that's Ecclesiasticus Chapter 1 verse 1. Then you go to Ecclesiastes, and then you got the words of the preacher. So didn't they call Jesus in the New Testament rabbi, which is almost like preacher, teacher? Then they call him the son of David. Then they call him King of the Jews, or in Jerusalem. Right? And of course, it's like correlates chapter 1 with the other chapter 1. Everything comes together too perfect, right? So let's see where I went. So I ended up here, wisdom. This is at the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. And I come here because the translation is very, it's a lot easier to read and translate. They all have different translations, which in another one I'll tell you the variation. But as you can see in some other translations, they were just a little bit harder to read. Like you see how they do heaven, down. So really old English. Even how they spelt the U and they use a V in its place. So this one was really easy to understand and read rather. And I had just some points that stuck out too, and some footnotes at the end that lead you to other parts in the Bible to get a whole picture. So just really great resources. And again, once you have a love for the law, the holy law, the Torah, and you understand that is the true light, that is the real light, not whatever gospel they're talking about, that New Testament gossip they're talking about. That's all I think that is. So chapter 18, because the Catholic bishops have all the books, hidden away in their libraries. So I'm pretty sure this has a lot of merit, and it does. It just confirms what you read too in the King James. But your holy ones had very great light, and those others who heard their voices but did not see their forms counted them blessed for not having suffered. And because they who formerly had been wronged did not harm them, they thanked them. And because of the difference between them, pleaded with them. Instead of this, you furnished the flaming pillar, a guide on the unknown way, and the mild sun for an honorable migration. For they deserve to be deprived of light and imprisoned by darkness, they had kept your children confined, through whom the imperishable light of the law was to be given to the world. Okay, so who is the Most High's children? Of course the Israelites, but there's so many lies. Even these Christian churches don't realize at the top they're Zionist. Even with the Catholics, they don't want to acknowledge the covenant of the Old Testament, but yet they are still so confused that they still attribute the Israelis in Israel today as being the original Israelites, and that's just not the case. And it's important to know that. Why? Because I used to tell my relatives why that was important, because they were like, oh, it doesn't matter, blah blah. I'm like, it does matter, because I wasn't a biblical expert or even as well read at the time, and I'm still not an expert, but I did know enough that the Bible, I remember saying that it was the Israelites who were gonna teach the Gentiles. I did remember that. So I'm like, it does matter, because they were to be the initial instructors, and like a lot of us who are now teaching, a lot of us learned under different Israelites and like got a base understanding, and then just used a kind of went on and incorporated our own independent research with some of those teachings, right? But of course, vetting everything. You don't want to blindly follow any type of anyone, because that's a cult, right? You need to follow. We already had a template, a prototype of who to follow, the Most High, and the laws were already given and put in place. So the light of the law, it was supposed to be given to the world. So we're the foundation of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. This is very important, because when we cast away the law, we cast away our own rights. And it also shows with the Exodus, it wasn't just the Israelites that were freed and left with their portion, but they left with a mixed multitude, okay? So if we know who the real is, the Gentiles will cleave to them, and like I said, it's a national spiritual movement, and it's going to show a little bit here. So you got this fifth example that goes into death of the Egyptian, the firstborn. We remember that story all too well. We want the Most High's judgment to pass over us, right? And it goes into what happened when they determined to put to death the infants of the holy ones, and when a single boy, the asterisk leads down to notes, and I guess they're talking about Moses, remember that story, had been cast forth and then saved. As a reproof, you carried off a multitude of their children and made them perish all at once in the mighty water. That night was known beforehand to our ancestors, so that with sure knowledge of the oaths in which they put their faith, they might have courage. The expectation of your people was the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of their foes. For by the same means with which you punished our adversaries, you glorified us whom you had summoned. For in secret the holy children of the good were offering sacrifice. We really need to keep this divine institution. It's been on my heart all week. I mean, I am not eating anything with leaven in it. I am being really careful. We're supposed to get a baby lamb or goat for the family. There's so many things that it'll elaborate. And so if you're celebrating the Passover, of course us Gentiles, we're trying to get better at it, but practice makes perfect. You got to read, you got to stay in the law, and all the specifications are right there, and it's not hard to do. He doesn't want to see you worshiping in public, making a spectacle of yourself like a lot of people are doing right now, making a show of it all, when you have the holy children of the good in secret making their holy sacrifices, and carried out with one mind the divine institution. And I'll show you in the footnotes what that is. So that your holy ones should share alike the same blessings and dangers. Once they had sung the ancestral hymns of praise, but the discordant cry of their enemies echoed back, and the pietous wail of mourning for children was borne to them, and the slave was smitten with the same retribution as the master. Even the commoner suffered the same as the king, and all alike by one common form of death had countless dead, for the living were not even sufficient for the burial, since at a single instant their most valued offspring had been destroyed. For though they disbelieved at every turn on account of sorceries, what do we got today? Big Pharma, Pharmakia, all the enchantments we have today, right? Psychology, you name it. At the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledge that this people was God's son. What is that telling you? Because you know how the Christians are like, oh, that one God's son, Jesus, is more special than the rest. But here it shows you, because in other translations, sometimes they'll say God's sons with an S. But in this one, and I think because, you know, this is a higher level, they're going to have maybe more specific translations, I think. Because this is, you know, that the bishops go by. But it says singular. So the whole of Israel, right, is considered God's son. So again, these churches have you, you know, chasing your own shadow around. It's ridiculous. For when peaceful stillness encompassed everything, and the night in its swift course was half spent, your all-powerful word from heaven's royal throne leaped into the doomed land. A fierce warrior bearing the sharp sword of your inexorable decree, and alighted and filled every place with death, and touched heaven while standing upon the earth. Then at once visions and horrible dreams perturbed them, and unexpected fears assailed them, and cast half dead, one here, another there, they revealed while they were dying, why they were dying. For the dreams that perturbed them, or disturbed them, had proclaimed this beforehand, lest they perish, unaware of why they endured such evil. The trial of death touched even the righteous, and in the desert a plague struck the multitude. Yet not for long did the anger last, for the blameless man hastened to be their champion, bearing the weapon of his special office, prayer and the propitiation of incense. He withstood the wrath and put a stop to the calamity, showing that he was your servant. He overcame the bitterness, not by bodily strength, not by force of arms, not by word. He overcame the smiter, recalling the sworn covenants, right, with their ancestors. For when corpses had already fallen one on another in heaps, he stood in the midst and checked the anger, and cut off its way to the living. For on his full-length robe was the whole world, and ancestral glories were carved on the 4 rows of stones, and your grandeur was on the crown upon his head. To these the destroyer yielded, these he feared, for this sole trial of anger sufficed. Amazing. So you'll go here, I'll give you some more elaborations that the divine institution is the Passover. I don't know much about this halal Psalms. We already know the term halal, anybody that knows Hebrew. So, of course, that's something to look into. But, of course, God's Son, people of, the Israelites. The discussion of physical light climaxes with a reference to the imperishable light of the Torah. So you got, the Passover, blameless man, who's talking about Aaron acting according to his office of high priest and intercessor, smiter, which is the destroying angel, and the name of God and the names of the tribes were inscribed on the high priest's apparel. So you go here too, because I've been really into Exodus chapter 12 this past week, and in this translation you get more of an understanding. I think I read this in the KJV. We'll give you more how to give you more info how to celebrate the Passover more correctly if you had any issue on how to do it, because I was watching a lot of different vids in different cultures, how they cook their animals, how they roast it, and I see a lot of the times they didn't cut the animal in pieces, they actually roasted it whole. And I think that's how you're supposed to do this, if I'm not mistaken, because it just sounded that way by some of the wording. I'll read a little bit of this too because it was pretty cool. The Passover ritual prescribed. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month will stand at the head of your calendar. You will reckon it the first month of the year." Everyone knows that March is the first month of the Hebrew year. Okay, the the vernal equinox, when equal parts day and night kind of thing. But in every civilization, I'm not sure if it's equal parts day and night. Please correct me. I'm still waking up. But in every civilization, it was just known that spring was the beginning of when things would come back to life, and that was considered the beginning of the new year prior to the calendars being changed. If you go back a few millennia, we were dealing with a whole different time system. So that's good to know, right? So this month there's a lot going on, and everyone just wants to remember St. Patrick's Day and totally push aside Passover. Pretty sad. It's like, who is that St. Patrick? Nothing but a man, right? Nothing but a man. He can't save you at the end of your life. And how many people getting drunk for nothing? Whatever. This month will stand at the head, okay? First month of the year. Tell the whole community of Israel, on the 10th of this month, every family must procure for itself a lamb, one apiece for each household. If a household is too small for a lamb, it along with its nearest neighbor will procure one, and apportion the lamb's cost in proportion to the number of persons according to what each household consumes. Your lamb must be a year-old male and without blemish. You may take it from either the sheep or the goats. You will keep it until the 14th day of this month, and then with the whole community of Israel assembled, it will be slaughtered during the evening twilight. They will take some of its blood and apply it to the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They will consume its meat that same night, eating it roasted with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or even boiled in water, but roasted with its head and shanks and inner organs. See? So I think it's supposed to be whole. You must not keep any of it beyond the morning. Whatever is left over in the morning must be burnt up. This is how you are to eat it, with your loins girt, sandals on your feet, and staff in hand. You will eat it in a hurry. It is the Lord's Passover. For on the same night I will go through Egypt, striking down every firstborn in the land, human being and beast alike, and executing judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. And if people think, oh, this is so removed in the past, why do you have a pyramid on your dollar bill? Okay, we have so many remnants of what will happen in Egypt, especially this modern indentured servitude you got going on here. I mean, seriously. And some of the stuff like sticks out even with the monetary system today. But for you, the blood will mark the houses where you are. Seeing the blood, I will pass over you. Thereby, when I strike the land of Egypt, no destructive blow will come upon you. How many people we know have passed away in the past few years? For whatever reason, regardless of the official narrative or not, This day will be a day of remembrance for you, which your future generations will celebrate with pilgrimage to the Lord. You will celebrate it as a statute forever. And you got in the law books today, they're all about man statutes that most people don't even comprehend. Never mind the Most High statutes, right? But you see how this was the original, the Torah, the Old Testament, the law of Moses given to him on the Mount to preach first and foremost to the Israelites so they can go out into the world and show the light to the Gentiles, right? That's how I remember it anyway, being read. For 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. From the very first day you will have your houses clear of all leaven. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the 7th will be cut off from Israel. On the first day you will hold a sacred assembly, and likewise on the 7th. On these days no sort of work shall be done, except to prepare the food that everyone needs. Keep then the custom of the unleavened bread, since it was on this very day that I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. You must observe this day throughout your generations as a statute forever. I know it's really hard for people to not do it because we all feel like we got to be doing something, right? And you got, even in the Seventh-day Adventist church, they just try to, they don't go by the proper calendar. So they have this mentality every Saturday when it should be on, every biblical Sabbath and on these holy convocations, these holy days. Since it was on this very day that I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. So this is a statute forever. Not until when Jesus came and then everybody thinks it's faith. I don't know why they're trying to flip that on its head. Because even in the Bible, the character said, I come not to destroy the law. So what are you guys talking about? From the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day of this month, you will eat unleavened bread. For 7 days no leaven may be found in your houses for anyone. a resident alien, you see how they use these terms now in the legal system, or a native who eats leavened food will be cut off from the community of Israel. You shall eat nothing leavened. Wherever you dwell, you may eat only unleavened bread. Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, Go and procure lambs for your families and slaughter the Passover victims. Then take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin. Apply some of this blood to the lintel and the 2 doorposts, and none of you shall go outdoors until morning. For when the Lord goes by to strike down the Egyptians, seeing the blood on the lintel and the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over that door and not let the destroyer come into your houses to strike you down. You will keep this practice forever as a statute for yourselves and your descendants. Thus, when you have entered the land which the Lord will give you as he promised, you must observe this rite. When your children ask you, What does this rite of yours mean? You will reply, It is the Passover sacrifice for the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt. When he struck down the Egyptians, he delivered our houses. Then the people knelt and bowed down. And the Israelites went and did exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So it goes into death of the firstborn. We understand what happened, how the firstborn was taken out all the way from Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeons, as well as the firstborn of the animals. The Most High don't play. He made it all right. He can take us out if he wants to, if we don't act right. Just like you have the ability to throw out a project that didn't go your way, or a plant that didn't grow right? Sometimes we grow plants at home, and out of nowhere, molds just attacks it, and there's no saving it, right? You kind of look at it like that in a way. Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a loud wailing throughout Egypt, for there was not a house without its dead. We're getting that now, so to speak, too. So this was interesting part, permission to depart. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, Leave my people at once, you and the Israelites, go and serve the Lord as you said. Take your flocks too, and your herds, as you said, and go, and bless me too. The Egyptians in a hurry. I know, he's like, bless me too. He's seen all the marvels of their God, right? Of the God of Israel. So he was like, do what you gotta do, but, bless me also. The Egyptians in a hurry to send them away from the land urged the people on, for they said, all of us will die. The people therefore took their dough before it was leavened in their kneading bowls, wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. And the Israelites did as Moses had commanded. They asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. This is deep, guys, because people are talking about, and I'll have to go into it sometime. If you're into a little bit of law and you're watching this, I'll give you a little gem just to show you. I haven't done this process yet, but I think I am going to send a letter to the chief at Vital Statistics or Health and Human Resources about claiming my trust patent, because we all have a trust patent if you didn't know. I guess Radiant Clone, guys, if you know about this channel, he used to be Radiant Clone, now he's Robots and Patriots. There's a video here called Congress number 5 session 2 chapter 49, he goes into the claim to trust patent. And I've been looking at these these new 4 uploads and taking notes and stuff like that, working on some of this stuff. You just take little bits from what people are doing, of course, and you apply it to your own situation. But if you know anything about having an account with the Treasury, it's basically your allotment, your property, your share of the gold and silver in the Treasury. So this is big, and this is what a lot of us are doing when we're trying to get our trust to pay, because the trust was put in place for our benefit, and it's being used by these corporate entities for their benefit. So that's why now a lot of us are clamoring, and we're demanding remedy, and we're demanding our portion. So your land patent is basically your property, your amount of silver and gold that's part of the so-called national treasury, if you will. So I believe a lot of people will be getting their share and be allowed to leave Egypt and go set up where they need to set up, right? So that's what I'm hoping that happens for a lot of us. So indeed the Lord had made the Egyptians so well disposed toward the people that they let them have whatever they asked for, and so they despoiled the Egyptians. The Israelites set out from Ramses for Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, not counting the children. What does that tell you in verse 38? A crowd of mixed ancestry also went up with them, with livestock in great abundance, both flocks and herds. Isn't that cool? A crowd of mixed ancestry. I believe this will happen again. The dough they had brought out of Egypt they baked into unleavened loaves. It was not leavened because they had been driven out of Egypt and could not wait. They did not even prepare food for the journey. The time the Israelites had stayed in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on this very date, all the armies of the Lord left the land of Egypt. This was a night of vigil for the Lord, when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, so that this night all Israelites must keep a vigil. Wow, so this is a proper vigil. You see it in the world and they're doing it for the wrong reasons. But Israelites were supposed to keep a vigil for the Lord throughout their generations. So you got the law of the Passover. This is a huge deal to the Most High. It's referenced many times in different sources, so it matters. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the Passover statute. No foreigner may eat of it." It says that, but then it says here, however, every slave bought for money you will circumcise, then he may eat of it. And you got that a lot with the birth certificates, and how in this country everyone had the option to get circumcised. So that made me think as well too. But no tenant or hired worker may eat of it. It must be eaten in one house. You may not take of its meat outside the house. You shall not break any of its bones. So that gives more clarification to what we read earlier too, right? The whole community of Israel must celebrate this feast. Look at this, more legal terminology. If any alien residing among you would celebrate the Passover for the Lord, all his males must be circumcised, and then he may join in its celebration just like the natives. You see that? So again, you're supposed to welcome in as your own those who are willing to follow the holy customs. But no one who is uncircumcised may eat of it. There will be one law for the native and for the alien residing among you. All the Israelites did exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So cool. On that same day, the Lord brought the Israelites out of the land of Egypt, company by company. And it gives you more elaboration. It doesn't really give you much on this hyssop plant. Remember, we were trying to dig into it a little bit. And it says here, a plant with many small woody branches that was convenient for sprinkling aright. And I guess Pharaoh, when he says bless me too, in a final and humiliating admission of defeat, once again Pharaoh asked Moses to intercede for him. Mixed ancestry, when it talked about the mixed multitude, not simply descendants of Jacob. So, of course, it goes into a little bit of the Christianity, you know, because they keep bringing this to Jesus, but yet I think it has to do with the actual Passover sacrifice. So, just keep that in mind. I guess the Septuagint, you know, we already know the Septuagint, there was a lot of games being played. So right here, alien is to be accorded the same treatment as the Israelite. So I guess there's other references. So you got Leviticus Chapter 9. You shall treat the alien who resides with you no differently than the natives born among you. You shall love the alien as yourself. For you too were once aliens in the land of Egypt. I, the Lord, am your God. Beautiful. Do not act dishonestly in using measures of length or weight or capacity. So chapter 34 got there. Let's go back to that wisdom a little bit, because I think it was chapter 19 I was looking for, and I got lost. Did I get lost? I don't want to lose it all. It's pretty much, let me go back here, because I was reading, because this one was right here, viewing the original 1611. So I guess you can switch to the standard KJV. That's interesting. And let me see if any of this stuff comes out. I wanted to go to the next chapter. I think that's where must be Ecclesiastes. Thought it was over here. I keep losing my place when I'm trying to talk about wisdom. But you see how this Jesus character, guys, so you know, right? And in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 as well. So, and you know, wisdom always looked upon as more important than anything else. More important than money, more important than, you know, any type of riches. But right here, as soon as you start reading it, this is Ecclesiasticus Chapter 1. Let me bring it up. I'm going to wrap it up soon. I'm already getting too tired to be talking. I got to go get ready for my day. So again, talks about her, she, all these beautiful things. Who can number the sand of the sea, and the drops of rain, and the days of eternity? Who can find out the height of heaven, and the breadth of the earth, and the deep in wisdom? Wisdom has been created before all things, and the understanding of prudence from everlasting. The word of God Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and her ways are everlasting commandments. To whom has the root of wisdom been revealed? Or who has known her wise counsels? Unto whom has the knowledge of wisdom been made manifest, and who has understood. See, her great experience. So you get this her feminine persona, because in the Christian churches, in the Catholicism, they're calling the Holy Spirit he, like there's 3 males in heaven doing God knows what, right? I mean, that's not correct, because they're going by the English translation, and I guess it uses the pronoun he, but it's more of a neutered context, which can mean it can apply to both, right? So again, he created her. Look at that. Let me go back to 8. There is one wise and greatly to be feared, the Lord sitting upon his throne. He created her and saw her and numbered her and poured her out upon all his works. She is with all flesh according to his gift, and he has given her to them that love him. The fear of the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Lord makes a merry heart and gives joy and gladness and a long life. Whoever fears the Lord, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the day of his death. To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. That's beautiful. Because you got this crown of rejoicing, crown. Because, right guys, that's going after. Let me show you where my pictures went. Oh, my cool thumbnails go. Don't you love when that happens? Let me go back here. Because this also means crown, right? So when this was coming up, I just thought that was weird. And then you go from that into this, right? Did you know there was an Omicron, Kappa, Delta? I didn't know, guys. Thought that was funny. There's a lot of organizations with this name. Things that make you go, right guys? Things that make you go, because they're really pushing the propaganda big time. They're really pushing it hard on us, guys, so be careful out there. Let me make sure I don't have anything else for you. I think I showed you everything there is, but just remember too, Romans 7:12. So the law is holy and the commandment is holy. What commandment? The commandments in the Old Testament, 10 commandments. Read the book of Deuteronomy, Exodus, Leviticus, Number. It's all right there. And it repeats itself. It tells you over and over how to do this stuff. And you can look into the Apocrypha for more elaboration too. Because you know the Catholic, these Catholic churches, they're hiding everything. They give everybody like a sanitized version, so they can't put all the pieces together. But just think about it. Have a little bit of common sense, because in the secular world, everybody's all about worrying about man's law, right? But if man's law is so important, how much more important is the Most High's law then? And how much more grievous and how much more is riding on breaking his laws? And now in this new age generation, they want to rename or redefine sin. So what is sin? You got to look at what the biblical definition is, not what your imagination tells you. Just like when I do my law documents, I got to look up what the legal definition or the U.S. Code definition of what they're talking about, not what I thought they meant by it, because that ain't going to work, right? So you need to look up what the definition of sin is, and you will find that it's just simply breaking one of God's laws. So this world's definitely getting us to do that. Thank you so much, guys. I never usually do videos this early, but I was already awake anyway. I read some of these scriptures last night, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of great points that came out. You know, the one law for the alien and the native. I thought that was so wild. And just some of the more questions I had answered about the Passover. because in time I want to get it right, and so I'm constantly looking it up, and every time I read about it, I'm constantly learning something new. So if you think ignoring the Most High's laws and commandments and just running around, jumping and hollering and singing kumbaya and kissing each other's asses is going to be the road to salvation, you've been sorely lied to. Because anybody who cares about you, I mean, I don't even know you, and I care about you, and I'm telling you from my little corner of the world that you do need to follow the law if you care about your soul and your in the afterlife, right? If you care at all about having any accountability to your creator, of course it matters. If bullshit man-made laws are so important to man, and man can't do nothing to you, right? When we check out of here, he got nothing. And man can't even control your life clock. So what are you worried about? You know, just following his mandates, rules, and regulations, and ignoring the creators who made all things. That's pretty wild. That's walking on the wild side. I'll just put it lightly. And I may not know you, but I care about your soul. I don't want to see you lost. I too have been led down the road of lies. Just because people tell you what you want to hear, don't make it true. So I hope this was helpful. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your day, and stay smart out there. And I'll talk to you again soon.